In case you don't know, that's from the day before yesterday. And that's earlier.
That looks like a physical chemistry problem to me.
Thank you very much, Mike, for organizing this whole symposium and this event. It's really quite moving for me, for our family, and I got to say it's very nice to be back in the aroma of ketones again. I spent many exciting Saturday mornings here with my dad.
I'm going to run through some of his artwork quickly and talk a little bit about the different ways that he approached his work and his attitude toward it. As you know, he did quite a number of drawings at Yale of the architecture that were converted into posters of Dwight Hall and the Battelle Chapel, the old campus, and they eventually were incorporated into a mural for the Yale bookstore, Barnes & Noble bookstore, around the top, which was something he was very proud of. Is a little in motion version of that mural, showing the different aspects of his work. Yale was his base.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Sterling Chemistry Lab. That's right where we are. Yale was his base and his roots, but his science took him all over the world. And when he traveled with his pen and his sketch pad and created a record of his travels that was really quite wonderful. In the way that other people might travel with a camera, he traveled with his eye and his hand and delighted himself, his friends, colleagues. The first one I just showed you was Commonwealth Ave in Boston. This is a scene of the streets in Bologna. This is Oxford, England. This is looking out, I think, from a hotel room onto the roofs of Florence. This is from the Citadel looking out on the Mount of Olive in Jerusalem. And sometimes we didn't have to wait for him to come back from a trip in order to see his work because he would send it as a postcard. It was a real treat to get a postcard from Dad. He was away for the holidays, and this showed up in my mailbox. This is Happy Holidays from Prague. It's this kind of work that I find particularly moving, the bold brushstroke, the quickness, the assertion. This is, for me, a kind of visual improv that he did on the spot. There's no going back. He just threw himself into this. It's based on a huge amount of study and knowledge that he's able to do this, but I found it very, very affecting. And he doesn't have just one approach. It depends very much where he is. If he's in the Caribbean, on Montserrat, and the colors are bold and it's tropical, it looks like this. This is Granada. But then if he goes to Japan and he's at the Gold Pavilion, all of a sudden he desaturates, uses a very fine line and a much different approach. Similarly here in Copenhagen with a detail. He loved to focus in. His father during the Depression was a sign painter, and he was fascinated by lettering. As many of you probably know who had him, who saw him work at a blackboard or saw the calligraphy that he did. So he would zero in on little details. This is in London, a bistro that he came across. He would also delight friends and family, and particularly grandchildren, with his creatures. And they often arrived at the summer house that they had in Wellfleet to find lizards, crabs that he would draw from life, a bouquet, a still life. And he brought the same sort of approach to interiors. This is, I think, something he did probably while waiting for my mom in a hotel in Florence. A very quick sketch of a harbor in Barbados, and a lovely rendering of polo horses that he came across. He also moved into the area of cartooning, something that he was quite good at. This is a couple on the beach. You could see the elements of caricature caricature here and the beauty of his gesture. This very, very simple line, quick wash, and so on. He actually did cartoons, as many of you know, while sitting in meetings here in the Chem Lab. I've got a few here to show you. Some of them will look familiar. Some of them, I will tell you, are in residence here today. So I'm not naming any names, but here's a sheet of studies. Here's somebody that may look familiar. Here's somebody who may be sitting in the front row. I don't know who this is, and I have no idea what the chemistry is on the board. It looks like a very active lecture here. I think this must have been when he was chairman for a while. And as somebody was saying earlier, Mike, you were pointing out he was very concerned with the library here. And I guess things had gotten pretty bad in the library. The students were trashing the place, as far as I can tell. So people were taking books out without checking them out. Some juvenile delinquent had snuck in here and was eating food on the library table. So he had a whole series of posters exhorting people to treat the books more kindly. He also did some political cartooning. Bill Malden, the Pulitzer Prize-winning cartoonist from the Chicago Sun-Times, was here as a fellow at one of the colleges for a semester, and Dad studied with him, and they became close friends. And this is a cartoon he did in 1975 of Jerry Ford, then president, Abe Bean, then mayor of New York, during the famous period when New York Daily News ran the headline, Ford to New York, drop dead. So anyhow, the Ford is saying to the nurse, not yet, wait until his pulse has stopped. So he was very encouraging to me over the years and a huge help. And every once in a while he would flatter me by asking me my opinion of his watercolors. I was in awe, of his facility, of his vision, regardless of where he was, whether it was in Arizona in the previous slide or here in the Virgin Islands, another Virgin Islands one. Very simple, very powerful. He would also do these close studies when he couldn't get outside of still lifes, of fruit, and practiced a kind of precision that informed his other drawings. You can see the color here of these nectarines and the warmth, and to me there's a kind of generosity in this drawing. I don't know whether that reads to other people, but it suffuses his on-site drawings of forests. This one from Vermont. He studied for a while with Wolf Kahn. He had several major influences. John Wilson in Boston when he was young. Bernard Chayet, who was in the art department here and was a close friend and encouraged him in his work. And then Wolf Kahn, with whom he studied in Vermont. And this is from the Vermont period. He got in a little bit of trouble. I don't think it's this painting, but
during this period in Johnson, Vermont, he was out. He used to go out early, set his paints up, do a series of watercolors, and all of a sudden he was approached by somebody he didn't know was watching him and said, "When you're finished with that drawing, Red wants it." So my dad said, "Red, who is he and who are you?" And the guy says, "I work for Red. Red owns this farm. He wants that painting." So the years of practice and his facility with a brush came in very handy. He finished the painting that he wanted to do. He did a quick reprise of it, stopped by the farmhouse on his way out the drive, gave Red the copy, and off he went. He was closest, I think, spiritually maybe too strong, but in terms of the things that called to him, close to the water.
And he did a series, many of the water around Wellfleet, the ponds, the marshes, the dunes, and so on. He grew up on Revere Beach, and there was something about being near the ocean that I think he found particularly moving. So these are last few. This is a scene from Gull Pond in Wellfleet, and this is the ocean. They have a quality of awe to them that I think was present in pretty much everything he drew. Thank you.